Hello, citizens of the Nigerverse. It's Niger here once again, and this is going to be another episode of the Invasion storyline. Really quickly, let me give you a game plan of what's going to be going down on the channel this week in terms of upload. So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We have a lot to do. This week, we have a lot to do for the channel. Today, and I say today because it's being uploaded today, Wednesday. By the time this is uploaded, it will be Wednesday morning. This video in particular is going up Wednesday morning, but I'm recording this Tuesday night. But nevertheless, so today will be episodes 1 and 2, or not episodes 1 and 2, episodes 3 and 4, I should say, of the Invasion storyline. So that will officially be wrapping up today, and then and so later on this afternoon, I'm hoping for around 12 or so, around 12 noon, will be episode 4 of the Invasion to finally wrap that up, put that to bed. The Episodes 3 and 4 to wrap up the Invasion storyline will be today, and then later on tonight will be my review of AEW slash New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door. We're getting back into the modern pay per view slash premium live event on the WWE side of things. We're getting into those. So we're gonna be getting back to those, and then tomorrow is going to be the next 2 pay-per-views. So, in terms of the Invasion timeline, we have 6 pay-per-views left. So we still have to review SummerSlam, Unforgiven, and No Mercy, Rebellion, Survivor Series, and Vengeance. Yes, technically Vengeance takes place after the events of the Invasion storyline. That's pretty much the Invasion wraps up at Survivor Series, but I'm still gonna throw it in there anyway, just as a little extra bonus, especially because it's pretty much kind of the fallout or what happens in the aftermath of the invasion, and we will be throwing in vengeance as well. So how we're gonna do this, as I mentioned, today will be episodes 3 and 4 of the invasion, and then AEW New Japan Forbidden Door later on tonight. Then tomorrow, aka Thursday, will be the next 2 pay-per-views, that being SummerSlam and Unforgiven, and then we'll also do a reaction video because I haven't done one since we did the AEW Dream Match card. So I want to do another reaction video. Like I said, I'm not fully transitioning my channel into doing reaction videos, but I'll try to sprinkle some in whenever I can. And admittedly, for those of you who are kind of more in the music scene, more specifically like the rap hip hop side of things, you might have noticed some stuff going down there, especially with Drake and coming after certain reactors such as like Screwface John. And then there's a whole situation with Big Zoo and Mike Righteous. So, admittedly, Big Zoo and Cliff Beats as well. Hell, apparently taking him to court. So I'm a little bit scared to do a lot of reaction content. I'm hoping that I don't run into issues like that, especially with YouTube and its copyright system, stuff like that being notoriously very broken. Um, so I'm gonna try not to run afoul of that, but admittedly, it's a bit of a tightrope. But that's gonna be the agenda for Thursday. Then Friday will be the next two pay-per-view reviews, that being, or at least for the invasion, that being No Mercy and Rebellion, and then as well as a review of NXT Heatwave. And then Saturday we're going to do a Reddit video. I haven't done a Reddit video in a while. Oh so we're going to be doing another Reddit video. Admittedly, which Reddit video or which subreddit I'm looking at is still to be determined, but we'll be doing that on Saturday, and we're going to be adding a little twist to it. But you'll see what I mean by that when we get to Saturday, and then Sunday. Hopefully, we'll be able to finish up with the last two Invasion pay-per-views in the storyline to finally close the book and finish our story of the Invasion, that being Survivor Series and Vengeance. So if everything goes according to plan, and I'm very much hoping that it does, and I will do everything in my power to ensure that it does. Hopefully, by this week, we have quite a bit of content, but we'll be wrapping up the Invasion storyline, and we'll be doing some Marvel reviews, and we'll be doing some other stuff as well to kind of break up the monotony of constant reviews and stuff like that. But now, but yeah, so that's the plan for this week. And like I said, I'm gonna try my best to do all of that. If it means I upload much later than usual, well, then so be it. I'll try not to upload too late. Like, hey, I try not to upload. My rule of thumb is I try not to go past 10 o'clock. I've had to do it a couple times, but thankfully, I haven't had to upload past 10 o'clock too often, mainly because by 10 o'clock, a lot of people are asleep. Even a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of you watching have work, have jobs, stuff like that. So maybe some of you are in school, well, so you don't want to so you don't want a video super late. But if you're a night owl like me, there's a good chance you're probably still up watching the video anyway. But nevertheless, of for the sake of not interrupting your sleep or having it be too late, I'm gonna try not to upload past 10 o'clock. If I have to, I will, but we'll try not to do that, and I'll try to do more morning/afternoon upload. So it's not like video after video, like doing a video and then another video an hour later, or like another video 30 minutes later or so. We're gonna try to kind of even things out and kind of spread things out a little bit. But now that I've talked your ear off when it comes to that, it's time for the next episode of the Invasion. So, if you remember from last time, I'm The Rock is back in WF. Austin is now the leader of the Alliance. Why, I still don't know. Oh, and uh WF is now fully entrenched in the battle with the alliance, that being WCW and ECW. So how will things continue to unfold for both sides? Let's find out in this episode. So of course, if you've seen episodes 1 and 2 already, you kind of have an idea of how this works essentially. But if you haven't, first of all, I highly recommend that you do that. But also, just in case you don't want to, pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the ratings beforehand when it comes to that. And then I will talk about some notable storylines, kind of what's going on in the company around that time. So without further ado, let's get right into it with our ratings. Okay, so as you can see here, we have our ratings here. So the week of September 2nd through the 6th, Raw did a 4.6 in terms of ratings. Meanwhile, SmackDown did a 3.4. The week of the 9th through the 13th, Raw did a 4.65. SmackDown did a 3.6. You're gonna notice these double arrows here. We do have the original site where I got the ratings from, so we will go through those and explain what that means. Then the week of the 16th to the 20th, Raw does a 4.8 and SmackDown does a 3.9. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Think I almost swallowed a hair. Her downsides of having a mustache. But the week of the 30th through October the 4th, so the end of September leading into October, Raw does a 4 point. Oop, Raw does a 4.4, SmackDown does a 3.7. The week of the 7th through the 11th, Raw does a 4.5, SmackDown does a 3.9. The week of the 14th through the 18th, Raw does a 4.1 and SmackDown does a 3.6. Uh, Excuse me. And then the week of the 21st to the 25th, Raw does a 3.9 and SmackDown does a 4. Right, and then the final week of October leading into November. So October the 28th leading into November 1st, Raw does a 4.1 and then SmackDown does a 3.9. So, first of all, let's address the arrows. Oh, so we have a nice little chart here, which now lets me know what these kind of parentheses here mean. For the parentheses, it says share. Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure what that means, but as for the arrows, we have the singular arrow here, which I actually think I forgot to include on the chart, but we have the singular arrow. That's because that was the Labor Day episode. Of course, Labor Day. First of all, Labor Day coming up next week, but also, of course, it's the first Monday of September, so that's the Labor Day episode. As for the double arrows and the triple arrows here, the double arrows here, as you can see, it says it's live edition airing after the September 11th terrorist attacks, and we will get to that when we get to when we talk about our notable storylines. It wasn't really, it sadly, was not a storyline. It very much was real, but we're still going to talk about it. But it was a SmackDown right after the September 11th attacks, so it has double arrows there. And then the triple arrows, it says preempted, or preempted, I should say. He preempted due to the terrorist attacks. So I imagine that means they didn't air Sunday Night Heat that week, or didn't film Sunday Night Heat due to the terrorist attacks, which is understandable. But nevertheless, as we see, the triple arrows and the double arrows there. So that's in regards to the attacks. But the other thing of note is that for September and October, Raw manages to stay within the high fours, whereas the only time they really drop down below a four at all is the week of the 21st to the 25th. Otherwise, with the exception of these two, Raw manages, and I guess to an extent this, Raw manages to stay on the higher end of the fours. Meanwhile, SmackDown mainly stays within the three. He's with a couple exceptions, and they stay within the high threes. He's So there's this exception, and then there's this week which ironically is the week Raw goes below the four. Is the week SmackDown actually does the four, but otherwise SmackDown manages to stay just within the high threes, but doesn't crack above a four with the exception of this one week. Okay, so for our notable storylines for this time period in WWE, or WF, I should say. The first is not a storyline, but something that is very much real, that really happened. So, we mentioned the September 11th attacks in our ratings there. On the 13th, they had the first SmackDown's post attack. In fact, I believe that was, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the first major public gatherings since the attacks. And for that particular episode of SmackDown, the storyline between the Alliance and the WF was, or the Alliance versus the WF, was placed on hold for the week. They decided they would dedicate that episode to talking about the attacks and very much sending the message, we are not afraid, that being America, as America was still reeling from the attacks. So the storyline was placed on hold for that week. We saw Alliance superstars and regular WF superstars. It's kind of side by side, and kind of the show of unity when it came to this real life issue. Now, admittedly, despite I will say, all conspiracy theories and everything about the September 11th attacks aside, I think putting the storyline on hold for the time being for that episode and sending that message, I think very much was, in my opinion, was the right thing to do. Who Because this major thing happened, and this major attack happened on U.S. soil. Well, it's a very big deal. Well, and right after it happened, and and I'm sure you can make the argument that maybe they shouldn't have done SmackDown that week, but in a way, I'm kind of glad they did, to show that sense of unity, and to have that display when it came to that. So I think it was, I think it was a good call, at least in my opinion, and to have that, to make that declaration and everything. On kind of a more personal note, when it comes to that, obviously, I was very young. I don't remember the September 11th attacks. By that point, I had just turned a year old, literally only a few days before that. So I do not remember the attacks at all. I know a lot of people very much were affected by the attacks. They either were victims of the attack, they were in the office building, they were on the planes, they were um, involved in the attack. Not involved in the attack. They were victims of the attack, or they knew people who were, or a lot of people lost family, friends, loved ones due to the attacks. Of course, very, very tragic. Very tragic event, and of course, one of those people being Selena Vega. Her father, I believe, was a first responder, and unfortunately lost his life in the attacks. But I do remember her. My It was either my aunt or my cousin. I'm not entirely sure. Or this is based off um, information that was told to me, and it's a family member I'm not super close to, who not out of any malice or anything, just not super close to them. One of the downsides of having kind of a big family was one of the people who was almost a victim. They She missed her flight, and it was the flight. I believe her flight was the one that crashed into one of the towers. Uh, and there were a lot of cases of that where people missed the bus to work, weren't able to make it to work that day, missed their plane, and essentially dodged death by mere moments. And it's insane to think how close some people were to losing their life in the attacks. One of the other people who notably almost lost her life was Seth MacFarlane, the creator of Family Guy, which is why Family Guy makes so many 9/11 jokes. He was supposed to be on one of the planes. He got super drunk the night before, got hungover, and thus missed his flight, and missed essentially catastrophe, it which to my knowledge, I don't think I've had something like that happen to me, where I've cheated death by mere moments, but I got to imagine that is something insane to think about. Yeah, so for that episode, WF put that storyline on hold because of the attacks. Moving on to other storylines around this time, some of the alliance were beginning to kind of question Austin's leadership. One of the most notable of them being Rob Van Dam, and so Rob Van Dam and Austin would kind of have a mini feud as well within this story. Yeah, and I believe it does lead to RVD being one of the people Austin faced at No Mercy, if I'm not mistaken. But obviously we'll get there when we get there. But we kind of see on both sides some cracks starting to form within Team WF and the Alliance. Hence Shane and both Shane and Vince. Vince comes a little bit later. We'll get to that when we get to November, December. Right now we're in September, October, but Shane says someone will defect from WF to the Alliance, and we'll find out who it is. But one defection that does happen is that William Regal betrays the WF and aligns himself with with the alliance makes sense. William Regal was part of WCW, who he was Lord Steven Regal in WCW, who so he betrays the WF, and he loses his commissionership, but he does become the commissioner of the alliance, so good for him, I guess. But someone who also betrays the WF is Kurt Angle. If you thought Steve Austin joining the alliance made no sense, and Kurt Angle so defecting to the alliance somehow makes even less sense. And Kurt Angle, literally, if you know, oh, if you know the history, if you don't, I'll kind of give a brief crash course. So during the event known as High Incident in ECW, I believe it was High Incident in 1996. There was a segment. I'll actually look it up just to be sure. High Incident 1996. Yep. So, oh, during the event, Raven battled the Sandman, and Raven and his flock. I believe they were the flock. Raven's Nest. The flock was WCW. Who? My apologies, but the Raven and his nest tied the Sandman up and placed a crown of barbed wire on his head. Sound familiar? So Kurt Angle was very offended by that and almost didn't join the pro wrestling business because of something like that, which fair enough. That's pretty disturbing, and I imagine if you're religious, that is very offensive. But so I guess it makes perfect sense then for Angle to join up with the people, well, in kayfabe that almost caused him to not be in the wrestling business in the first place. But if you can believe it, it's gonna get even weirder with Angle as the invasion storyline goes on. But Kurt Angle, sure enough, betrays the WF. Before that, though, was the Milkomania segment where Angle shows up with the milk truck and the hose Ella Austin and his beer truck back in 1999 and spraying the corporation. Angle does the same thing to the alliance with milk. Look, I imagine. I wonder which one was more gross, like being covered in the beer or being covered in the milk. Because especially when that milk starts to like spoil and everything. And as someone who um, has kind of spilled old milk on themselves accidentally because I used to work in a grocery store. It does kind of smell after a little bit, but yeah, Angle sure enough sprays them. I think that's a little. I think we're a little. I think that's a bit before then, and I forget exactly when that happens. And mainly some of his I think take place before then. I just forgot to mention them, but there was that Milkomania segment. Then there was Perry Saturn's relationship with a mop, which I believe was Perry Saturn's punishment for very badly injuring a jobber or that that uh that almost injured Perry Saturn. So Perry Saturn had his relationship with a mop. How he dumped Terry Runnels for a mop, and she was very upset about it. So she had Raven kidnap the mop up, and he fed it to the wood chipper. Uh, Haven also like kind of mimed did like ventriloquism with the mop as it was like going in. He was making like voices for the mop. It was actually pretty funny. So R.I.P. Moppy. And funnily enough, I did see a meme of Perry Saturn with the mop when like the Coldplay incident was happening earlier on this year. And when I say this year, I mean like present day 2025. Like when the Coldplay incident happened where the CEO was caught cheating on his wife with the HR employee, or head of HR, I should say. Someone made a meme of Perry Saturn and Moppy and actually sent it to my brother. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up on my phone. But yeah, so Perry Saturn was in a relationship with a mop. WF used to be very very weird. Er, Let's see if I can find the meme. I sent it to him not too long ago. Oh, so I should have it here. If I can adjust my back as well a little bit. Uh, but yeah, so there was that. Yeah, here it is. Is pretty funny stuff. If my or maybe I got to turn my light off. Um, shoot, it's still too bright. The hell. Uh, but it's kind of tricky to see, but yeah. So I just figured I'd share that meme with you guys. But moving on, another storyline was that there was some tension. Like I said, some cracks in Team WF. One of those was a rift between The Rock and Chris Jericho, even though they were both on the same that being Team WF, and they even won the tag team championships together because, as you kind of, because of course. But even though, excuse me, they were on the same side, they were having issues with each other. They were costing each other matches. They were kind of getting up in each other's face. They were accidentally and on purpose costing each other. So Rock and Jericho did not like each other. But could they pull together for the sake of Team WF? Time will tell. But next up, we have a romance between Tajiri and Tori Wilson. So Tori Wilson was on the side of the Alliance. Tajiri was on the side of Team WF. So it was kind of like a Romeo and Juliet kind of situation. Eventually, it does lead to Stacy Keebler, who was aligned with Tori. And we saw them team up at Invasion. If you missed my Invasion pay-per-view review, go check that out. But it does lead to Stacy turning on Tori, and Tori joins Team WF fully after that. Speaking of which, there were other defections as well. Within both within Team WF and the Alliance. And one of those being Stevie Richards defecting to who Team WF. See if I can pull up a couple other examples. Some infection. So Stevie Richards went to the Alliance, which makes sense. Stevie Richards was a part of, or maybe I gotta go to the Alliance. Steve Richards was part of ECW, so it does make sense. Him going, and excuse me. And then we mentioned William Regal. Tess was initial as well. Christian would also end up joining the Alliance for a time, but I think I believe not. I think he did stay with the Alliance. Um, and Christian and did turn on Edge, which I do have listed here. That ended up happening at SummerSlam, so we're a little bit behind on that. But I'm gonna review SummerSlam anyway. But Christian does turn on Edge. He finally snaps. He's jealous of his brother because they were still brothers in storyline. And he was jealous of his brother's success, so he turned on Edge and joined up with the Alliance. Kind of formed a team with Lance Storm, I believe. He kind of the primordial version of what would become what would later on become the Un-Americans. But there was that, but Christian Ivory, yeah, they defected to the Lions. So we're seeing a lot of defections as well between both sides. So quite a bit going down with that. So some dissension in the ranks, which I think is what I'm going to call this episode. We'll see how things lead up as we lead up to the winner take all match at Survivor Series. But that is for another time. But in the meantime, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you never miss an upload, and let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on where things are progressing so far, as well as this episode of the Invasion. And don't touch that dial, because as episode 4, the final episode, will be coming up in just a moment, and it will be uploaded a few hours after this one goes up. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.